same way like that. And because of this, this is why it's wrong to say, I go to school and I see my friend. That's why you can't put this here. It has to be part of this sentence. 因为它不可以放前面。It's just part of a list. 不可以说 and B， 需要说 A and B. OK， 你们都了解吗 ？OK， so this is a common problem. 有很多的我看过的学生写的东西，这边有很多的问题。所以呢，需要了解 ，you have to understand why. One more thing with this， 你记得我说，这边有两个句子，可以用一个连接词 ，right? That's why it's wrong when you use the Chinese ideas, you know, if it rains and I go home. Okay? 可以说 if it rains, then I go home. 为什么可以这样子？这边不可以用 and， 不可以用 so， 不可以用 although 跟 but 在一起 ，right? But you can say if it rains, then I go home. 为什么？连接词，它是什么字？它是连接词吗？是不是 ？Is this a conjunction？ 你觉得呢？不是，它是副词 ，It's just an adverb。所以这个 then 有很多地方可以用。Then I go to school. I then go to school. I go then to school. I go to school then. Right? Then 是副词，所以有连接词也可以加副词。但是这边不可以用两个连接词，因为有两个句子，有三个句子。If it rains and I get wet, I will go home. You know, if we have 3 clauses, then we can have 2 conjunctions. It's just the way the grammar works. So it's an important question. 很重要。OK， 还有什么可以问？你们有没有问题？有没有？Okay, well, how about we do a bit of reading then, and we'll see if you guys have any other questions that you think of. So, have any of you done this story with me before? I forget who I've seen before for what classes, so. In our reading, have any of you done this one? 有没有看过 No? No? 都没有 Okay. 好 Well, we can do a bit of reading today, and we'll try this out and see how it goes. Okay. Now, when it comes to reading, one of the most important things about reading, everybody look here, before you look at this, always look at this, right? There's always stuff here that can help you. There's a very important part of reading and listening that a lot of people miss. Context. Can I just borrow this book for a moment? That's why every time you have a story in here, every time there's a story, there's always a picture, right? There's a picture, there's a name at the top, sometimes there's a question, there's always a context. So look at that first, because that will help you to make guesses, all right? And it'll help you to ask questions. A large part of reading is that when you start to read, you should already have questions. When I look at this, I mean, the first thing I see is that, okay, there's, like a spaceship or something. So maybe the stories will talk about this, right? I see the author's name is really big. Now, I know this guy, so I know what he writes about. So before I read it, I have some idea of what will be inside, right? Even things like what it says about the story. This is short stories. This isn't one big story. So there's a lot of little stories in here. That will help me before I open the book. So when we look at this page here, what's the first thing you see? What's the first thing you see? The picture, right? So you have this, ugly sort of little animal here. It's ugly because I can't draw, right? So what makes you think it's different? What do you notice about this animal? Does it look like a real animal? No, right? There aren't any real animals that look like this. Okay, so that's the first thing you should be thinking about, right? Also, there's a name at the top, right? Probably this animal and this name go together, right? So before you start reading, you can have a couple questions in your mind, and that helps you to be more interested. So when you start reading, you look for the answers to your questions. Okay, so 念念看，一起念。Okay, 开始念，一起念。1, 2, 3, go. Ah. And we have a problem right away. 为什么有问题？这边有没有发音？ You notice that in this text, some of the letters look different, right? I mean, the title usually has a line under it, or the words are darker, but there's also this stuff here. 有点不一样的, right? That's also part of the context. It's important to notice that. Even if you look at what's at the back here. Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
When you notice something like this, right? There's this part of the text, and then there are other sections. This is important information. If you notice down here, there are dates. What does this mean? Here we have by. 这是名字，对不对? It's a person's name. 这个意思说什么? What's the name of this date, or the meaning of this date? That's when he was born. Yeah. So what does this one mean? That's when he died. So, before we even look at this, the writer died more than 100 years ago. So if we think about that, maybe the words here aren't the same words that we use today, right? They look the same, but maybe some of them have a